Your 1 to 5-year-old just told you no for the 5th time today, and you're standing there wondering, should I pick this battle or let it slide? If that sounds familiar, you're facing the biggest parenting transition that no one talks about. After working with hundreds of families, I can tell you there's a critical window between ages 1 and 5 where you must shift how your child sees you. Miss this and you'll spend the next decade dealing with power struggles. You'll be dealing with defiance, entitlement, and constant conflict into their teenage years. So today I'm going to explain what the needed shift is and how to use loving authority to best raise your 1 to 5-year-old so that you have the loving, respectful relationship that you want for years to come. So let's dive into that shift that child development experts recommend, and that is establishing yourself as your child's loving authority. Clinical psychologists understand that once children develop secure attachment, and if you haven't seen my latest video on the most important parenting strategy for babies age 0 to 9 months, I'll link to that at the end of this video and in the video description below. But for now, just know that today's advice for 1 to 5-year-olds is built on a solid foundation of parent-child connection. So now at age 1, your child is all about observing how you respond when they test limits, and then forming expectations about whether you can be trusted to be their leader. What limits have you noticed your toddler testing? Maybe they'll throw a tantrum for you about bedtime, but go to sleep easily for your partner. Maybe they'll refuse to clean up their toys at home, but happily follow cleanup time at grandma's house. Or maybe they keep throwing their spaghetti on the floor despite multiple warnings. Here's the vital piece of the puzzle. If you want a respectful child, you must consistently uphold reasonable boundaries. If you want a cooperative child, you must establish clear authority, especially during the formative years. For example, let's say that your 3-year-old refuses to put on their shoes when it's time to leave. Instead of giving in or getting into a power struggle, you would demonstrate calm leadership. So you might say, I understand you don't want to put your shoes on now. Our rule is we wear shoes when we go outside to keep our feet safe. You can put them on yourself or I can help you. Then you follow through calmly and say, thank you for following our safety rule. Now, I know this sounds challenging when you're dealing with a melting down toddler in public. Sometimes you will give in just to get through the moment, and that's human. The key is getting back to consistency. You might say later, I helped you with your shoes earlier because we were in a hurry, but our rule is still that you put them on yourself. Tomorrow, I'll expect you to do it like the big kid you are. Now, establishing loving authority is powerful, but even the best leadership won't work without the second piece, which I'll get to in just a second. But first, I wanted to share an opportunity to learn 5 essential parenting strategies that transform your child's behavior today and build thriving kids tomorrow. These strategies are straight out of my private parent coaching program, and I'll be sharing them with you in a free live event called Confident Parenting Made Simple, which is a workshop I'm hosting next week. So save your seat today at drlindsayemmerson.com/live workshop, and I'll see you there. Now, getting back to the second piece for establishing yourself as the loving authority figure in your family. And this is openly communicating the rationale for your household limits. So this is where we as parents often struggle because we've been conditioned to use because I said so parenting. We think explaining our reasoning undermines our authority. But the truth is, arbitrary rules don't create respectful children. In fact, having no explanation for boundaries is what makes them rebellious and resentful later on. Think about it. Imagine your boss gave you rules but never explained why they mattered. You'd follow them out of fear of getting fired, but you'd never truly buy into them. And that's exactly how your child feels without understanding the why behind your rules. So when your child knows that our rules about gentle touch exist because we keep everybody's body safe in our family, then they actually feel secure and can understand the values behind your expectations, which means way less arguing about rules and way more cooperation because they make sense now. In our family, everyone helps with household tasks like laundry and dishes. So instead of just demanding compliance, I explain that everyone in our family contributes to keeping our home comfortable and organized, just like everybody on a team has a job to do. And I let my kids know that the more that they help out around the house, the more it then frees us up as the parents to spend quality time with them on fun activities. Now my kids understand that they're part of being a contributing family member. And I see this in my coaching program when parents start explaining the why. Children stop seeing the rules as arbitrary control and start seeing them as family values. But here's the crucial part. This only works if you're not negotiating with them. You're sharing your reasoning to help them understand, not opening it up to debate. Now, there are times when you want to get your kids' inputs on things, but with your core rules, your boundaries that you're setting, these are non-negotiable. Because when children understand that your rules come from wisdom and love rather than arbitrary control, they stop fighting you and start following you willingly. But there's one more piece that makes all the difference, and this is the most important part of authoritative parenting that completely changes everything. Now, instead of trying to control every behavior, authoritative parenting teaches parents to focus on these crucial areas: safety, respect, and responsibility. So when your child runs in the parking lot, that's a safety issue. Now, they just haven't learned that safety rules are non-negotiable yet. It's not that they're being defiant, it's that you still need to focus on teaching them safety rules. When they speak rudely, they haven't learned the skill of communicating needs respectfully. And when they refuse to help with family tasks, they just haven't learned the skill of being a contributing family member yet. So this shift changes everything, because instead of feeling like everything is a battle, you start to actively teach them the three most important life skills. Now, for example, imagine that your child is hitting their siblings during a conflict. Instead of just saying, stop hitting, you would teach them about our safety boundary while addressing the underlying need there. You might say, bodies are for keeping safe, not for hurting. And you can tell your sister that you're angry without hitting her. And then you would model appropriate words. Try saying, I don't like that. Or you can help them to calm down first. Let's take some deep breaths together, and then we'll practice using our words. If your child has a complete meltdown, your first priority is keeping everyone safe. So separate them temporarily if needed. The key is coming back to teach the skill when they're calm and ready to learn. Now, when they're ready to try again, you would say, now tell your sister how you feel using words. I'll help you if you need it. And then you can guide them through appropriate conflict resolution. So the next time your child breaks a rule, ask yourself, is this about safety, respect, or responsibility? Don't just correct the behavior, actually take the time to teach the skill that they're missing. Because when you give them clear expectations in these three areas, something amazing happens. They start making good choices even when you're not watching. So the window between ages 1 to 5 is when children are developing their understanding of authority and social expectations. The patterns that you establish during this critical period become the blueprint for your relationship. And around age 2 to 3, your child is going to be testing boundaries more frequently. This is normal development. By ages 3 to 4, consistent authoritative parenting leads to more cooperation. And around ages 4 to 5, children start to internalize family values. When you consistently apply these three principles, you'll see more cooperation, fewer power struggles, and that amazing feeling of mutual respect with your child. As I mentioned in the beginning, establishing yourself as the loving authority figure in your parent-child relationship is secondary to forming a secure attachment bond. That loving connection provides the sense of security and safety that is an essential foundation to this next step of letting them know that you'll always be there to rein them in when they push important boundaries too far. Check out this next video to ensure that you and your child are securely attached. And don't forget to click the link in the description below to get registered for the Confident Parenting Made Simple live workshop.